and every other thing they have to offer. And I'm also hoping that today we would hear from the lead consultant of Brains and Butter. It's not all the time you get to meet her just like that. And even when you get to meet her, your pockets would also know it, your pockets would feel it. So, it's an opportunity to meet her and engage with her and engage her and, ask questions, get to know about Brains and Butter. So it's a win-win all through. I'm not going to be hosting alone today. I have with me a co-host and is the business development manager for Brains and Butter. It is Abimbola. Abimbola, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Ma. It's great to see you today. Good morning, Dr. Alo. It's great to have you on the call. Marvin St. James School. It's great to have you guys on the call today. You guys look amazing. I love your suits. You guys look great. Thank you so much. Just like my host has initially said, if you missed yesterday, you missed a lot. But you haven't missed so much because we still have an amazing school today on the platform to share, so much with you. There's so much content, there's so much value to get. And one of the things I can ensure you is that you're going to get so much personalized information. You're going to get so much value for what you have on the platform today. And we're going to have a live Q&A section. We're going to have application guidance, and there's going to also be consultation, available to those who are interested. The information will be passed across at the goal of the fair. So thank you everyone for being part of this fair today, and I hope you have a great time with us today.
Yeah, amazing. Yes, so welcome once again. Parents, we're here for you. We want it to be as engaging as possible, and we want it to be very interactive. So please feel free to drop comments, to drop questions. You can indicate if you want to ask your questions live by a show of hand, and we would enable you to speak. And you feel free to use any of the emojis, to convey your emotions and all of that. Please feel free to engage in whatever way you want to engage. We're here for you. Don't forget to grab a cup of tea and biscuits if you like, and maybe popcorn. Pick a very comfortable spot wherever you are, and let's go on this ride together. So the fair is open, and we're going to jump right into it with the first school on the lineup, which is Malvern St. James Girls School. And representing them today, we have Dr. Gareth Lloyd. He's the head of school. Good morning.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's lovely to be introduced by Brains and Butter, with whom we have a great relationship. And thank you, my colleagues in Brains and Butter, and a particularly warm hello to Dr. Alo, with whom I've had a lovely relationship for several years. I would also like to introduce my fantastic head girl, who this year just happens to be from Abuja, Rukaya. And Rukaya will speak the truth about MSJ to you all very shortly. I thought I'd give you a brief presentation and by PowerPoint. You can read the factual information. It's quite simple to read on screen. And I will just touch on a few points related to each of the PowerPoint presentation sheets. But I will start by saying I've only just recently returned from Nigeria. My head of admissions, Miss Yulia, and I flew into Abuja, where we were for 2 days. And then from Abuja, we flew to Lagos. And we were just overwhelmed by the warmth of welcome and the joyousness of Nigeria. For both of us, it was our first visit to Nigeria, and we loved it. We had such lovely interactions with parents at a number of schools, and we are very excited at the prospect of perhaps as many as 10 Nigerian girls from both Abuja and Lagos joining us this September. We already have a lovely representation of African countries in our school. More on that in a moment. So we had a fantastic visit. So thank you to all Nigerians for creating such a joyful country. All countries across the world are facing challenges at the moment. What really matters is how we address those challenges, and underpinning how we do that should be our values. And it was wonderful to see values practiced across all parties that we met in Nigeria, just as we do here at Malvern St. James Girls' School. The clue to our school is in the name, Girls' School. We're incredibly proud of being an all-girls school. More on that in a moment. I ask our girls to do 3 things to keep me happy, and I ask the staff to keep me happy by 1 thing. I ask the girls to work hard because life is competitive, and those good grades are very important to access opportunities later in life. I ask them to play hard, and it is through playing hard, their sport, their music, their drama, their art club, their cinema club, their language club. We have over 100 activities during the week and on the weekend. It is through those activities that the girls learn the really important life skills that help them through the path of their life. It prepares them for life after Malvern St. James. It teaches them the importance of leadership and teamwork, but also humility and kindness and love and forgiveness and the ability to forgive. Those are really important human qualities that are best inculcated outside of the academic confines of a classroom. And then most importantly, I ask the girls to look after each other. So they work hard, they play hard. Most importantly, they look after each other. What is the good of all those A stars, the first team sports representation, your grade 8 in drama and grade 8 in music, etc., unless you bring all of those experiences and qualifications together to have a positive impact on the world that we are entering. And we desperately need young people, and in our case, young women, who are grounded with strong values and moral code, and bringing all of their competencies to a world with which they can engage. So I ask the girls to work hard, play hard, look after each other. And I ask the staff to do 1 thing, and I don't use this word glibly. I ask them to inspire happiness. Happiness is key to a productive child who will engage in her academic learning, who will enjoy coming out of her comfort zone, participating in new activities. And most importantly, happiness is about being kind and approachable. I don't know about you, but I certainly didn't always have kind, approachable teachers. And at MSJ, that is 1 thing I absolutely insist on, especially for the experience of our boarders, many of whom are living many thousands of miles away from their parents. So we are very much their home. And I suppose I consider myself their big daddy, all 5'7" of me. So we try to create a beautiful, loving atmosphere. We try to ensure that learning is always fun, because then it is memorable and it stays for life. So you can see our beautiful school set just at the foothills of the foot of Malvern Hills. We are in a great location. We are only 1.5 hours from Heathrow, 2 hours from London Paddington, and the train station comes right outside of our school. So it's a fabulous location. Our girls from Nigeria tend to fly into Heathrow. Some will fly into Birmingham, which is only 45 minutes away. And our drivers with a house mistress will always meet the girls as they arrive in the country. You can see that we are 3 to 18, and boarding starts at the age of 7. Our youngest boarders tend to be the younger sisters, or they're the daughters of military families. So most of our boarding intake starts at age 11, then again at age 13, 14, and into the 6th form. We're approximately 300 girls, and that is made up of roughly 60% British, 40% international. And of the boarding community, it is roughly 50-50 between British and our overseas. And of course, we're represented by a lovely rich community that covers at least 15 countries. We are a Christian school, and we welcome all faiths. I think it is really important. I'll use the word Catholic for a moment, but in its original ancient Greek meaning, it means universal. So I think it is very important that we at MSJ welcome everybody with a universality of warmth and respect, regardless of background, faith, colour, economic status. It happens to be that Ruqaiya is a very proud Muslim. I happen to be a cradle Catholic. We welcome all faiths and none. And I think that's very important for parents to know, because we're a very values-driven school, and we're very proud of that. We offer over 25 subjects at both GCSE and A-level, including our Global Competency Certificate, which is based on the International Baccalaureate values and principles, but we follow a strict A-level program. We also include the EPQ, the Extended Professional Qualification, and our HPQ, which is a higher qualification in a number of key subjects. So it's all about preparing the girls to be very competent as they move into life after school. So why MSJ? If I were to say the word brotherhood to men and boys, it is essentially a bit meaningless. I have learned with a real sense of humility and then pride that say the word sisterhood to girls and women, and there are so many lovely complex layers to this word. It's about kindness, it's about support, it's about having fun in their learning, it's about supporting each other through difficult times, it's learning to forgive as well as to accept forgiveness. It's these lifelong qualities that define, I think, possibly the difference between the majority of men and women. In an assembly last year, I asked the girls, how many countries are at war at the moment? And the answer was a frightening 36. I then asked them, what was the common denominator between those 36 countries? I had some good answers. They weren't correct. Somebody said religion. It wasn't correct. Somebody said resources. It wasn't correct. The answer was that all 36 countries are led by men. Now, I am not man bashing or boy bashing. What I'm saying is that girls and women may bring different qualities of empathy, listening, diplomacy skills when it comes to some of those really big, serious challenges that are thrown to us both locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. So we try to create this sense of sisterhood that is very globally orientated. We've got terrific academic results. You can see some of the statistics on the screen. We know from the research that Cambridge University published in February 2024 that girls in an all-girls school will outperform all expectations of themselves if they remain in that all-girls school for sixth form. We know that that is factually correct based on Cambridge University's research. What we do also then need to appreciate is that girls need the opportunities to develop competencies in dealing with boys, because that will be their future when they go to university and enter the workplace. So listening to the girls, over the past 12 months, we have joined the Round Square, which is a group of 272 schools around the world that share very similar values, that consider themselves stewards of our broken world. So there's a lot of understanding about global warming, how the co-curriculum, our extracurricular activities, can develop character and complement everything that is learned in the classroom. So some of our younger girls at the moment are working with a boys' school in Bogota in Colombia, looking at local history and local geography, and they're doing this via live PowerPoint presentations. It's really exciting to see. We've also joined the International Coalition of Girls' Schools. So this is specifically for girls' schools from around the English-speaking countries of the world, 2,000 altogether. And there's a great deal of research into teaching strategies and learning skills. So that's an exciting development. And much more recently, we've joined the Galaxy Global Group, which is a small family of international schools, really promoting internationalism, global competencies, and it will give our girls the opportunities to undertake activities that they can't even begin to imagine, with a lot of exchanges around the world. So we know that we're giving the girls a fantastic academic grounding. We know that we prepare our girls extremely well for Oxford, Cambridge, and other Russell Group universities. We offer terrific support for those who are applying to universities overseas, such as the Ivy League. And we're very proud of the involvement of the old girls, who are always guiding our current girls in their choice of careers and university choices, etc. So we're really proud of our community's academic credentials. The girls know that their GCSE and A-level results are but a stepping stone to realizing their dream. So we will support them in their co-curriculum, we will support them in their friendships, but at the heart of everything we do is academic ambition for each and every girl. I emphasize those words because as a small school, we take great pride in knowing every single girl's needs, and we meet those needs. So if we move to some of the co-curriculum, just briefly, you can see a range of the activities. And there's a photograph of me with a delightful group of girls at a school that I visited last week in Abuja. I felt like the Pied Piper, actually. They were so excited to welcome me to their school, and it was very humbling. And they all wanted to know some of the activities. So it's a huge range of activities: sport, music, drama, underpin much. The Duke of Edinburgh Award is huge. Interestingly, the most popular club is dissection, and it's a compulsory club for those who are considering medicine, dentistry, or veterinary science. And we have a range of sporting activities. They're trying to meet the needs of every single girl. I myself coach badminton, athletics, tennis, and many staff are involved in the sports program, as well as all other subjects. My own personal subjects are music and languages. So music obviously gives me the opportunity to interact with the choirs, the orchestras, etc. So there's a little bit on our co-curriculum. We attempt to meet the needs of every family in applying. We are well aware of the economic challenges that many families experience, particularly our Nigerian friends, and we take this matter very seriously. So there are monetary attachments to scholarships and, of course, to bursaries. Scholarships recognize giftedness and attainment, either academic or in one of those skills such as art, drama, sport, and music. Bursaries are means tested, and so they will be awarded according to the affordability of the parents to send their girls. We're under no illusion. Boarding school fees in the UK are high. I have terrific support from my governing body to take each case as on a one-to-one basis. So please do not hesitate to engage in absolute confidence with myself and our head of admissions when it comes to discussing financial assistance. We recognize that it is so important. Not least because we are wanting to build our relationship with the West African Examinations Council and West African and indeed African countries altogether across the continent. My aim at MSJ is to broaden the 15 countries from which we currently draw to approximately 20 to 25. And in this way, I can ensure that each year group has between 4 and 5 girls from any one country, with English and English culture being celebrated whilst respecting all other cultures. I must let you into a little secret. I came back from Nigeria with my proudest possession. It's a beautiful silk Nigerian suit. It doesn't quite fit me. I think Nigerian men must be considerably taller than me, but I've had the trousers taken up and I can't wait to wear it on one special occasion. So we want to be as supportive as possible. If you are interested in Malvern St. James, particularly after you've heard Ruqaiya speak, please do not hesitate to contact our head of admissions, Miss Julia. We are very happy to welcome any girl to us for a free 1-week taster, so that she can board, experience the whole community, whether that's the boarding, the academic experience in the lessons, the co-curricular activities after school. And we have a virtual open morning on the 24th of February at 11 o'clock. So again, you'd be most welcome to ask to join that. And there will be more people other than just myself and Ruqaiya presenting at that point. But you've heard enough from me. Now I want you to hear from the most important person in this room, and that is our head girl, Miss Ruqaiya Bagudu. Ruqaiya.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. As you've heard, my name is Ruqaiya, and I'm from Abuja. I lived in Abuja all my life, but I'm originally from the north, so I'm from Kebbi State in particular. So I joined MSJ 4 years ago now in 2021, and I joined in year 10. So I was at a British school, so I had some experience. So on that side, the adjustment wasn't too much. Changing to the GCSE system and learning how the sort of the academics work, that was okay because I was at a British school. But I think also for those who are not, who may be at a predominantly Nigerian curriculum, because it's a bit mixed. I think the Nigerian curriculum is very broad, so actually will help your transition better into a British school. And so I did my GCSEs, I did pretty well. And
she did extremely well.
And I'm now doing my A-levels in maths, physics, and chemistry. And I'm hoping to study chemistry in university. So currently going through the whole application process and all of the things that come with that. And just thinking about that a bit more, the support we receive on that side is amazing. As a sixth former, I get to have a mentor who will take me through everything I need to know. No matter where in the world I want to apply to in university, there's a team of people supporting me. And I feel like not just university, it is the same with everything, whether it is my subjects, whether it is the sports that I do or my drama, there's always a team of people supporting and wanting to push me and wanting to make me as best as I can possibly be, starting from my house mistresses to all my teachers, subject specific, and also my friends, all the people that I have built these relationships with over the years. And as Dr. Lloyd said, I truly do think the best word to describe MSJ is a sisterhood. I have a lot of sisters. So when I left home, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But coming here, it's like I have a lot more now. I don't feel like I'm missing, of course I miss my sisters, but I'm not missing too much from those relationships because I've built them here, and I know these are friendships that are absolutely going to last a lifetime, because I think boarding really, really helps you. You get to connect with people on a different level. You're living with these girls 24/7 for a really large part of the year. So of course you develop relationships that it just wouldn't be the same if you weren't in that community. But saying that also, with the day girls, it is exactly the same. There is absolutely no difference in relationship, whether we are day girls or whether we are boarders, weekly boarders, flexi boarders. And I think that's really amazing. So sisterhood is truly the right word, and community as well is also very important. One thing I feel it is really important to mention is that, like Dr. Lloyd said, this is a Christian school that welcomes all faiths and none. And just when we were doing my research for schools, there wasn't a single other school that we looked at that, for example, offered halal food as an option, or had a prayer room that I could go to and use whenever I needed to, and had that understanding that, look, this is just what she needs. It's not reducing anything from what we have to offer at the school. It's not a strain on our resources, but we're simply going to do the best to provide for every girl, no matter what it is she needs, no matter beyond dietary requirements. I think everyone in MSJ will go above and beyond to make sure that every girl's needs are met, which is very important. When you're sending your child to a school, quite far from home, you really do want to be comfortable that where she's going, she's going to be happy and she's going to be safe, really importantly. And Malvern is incredibly safe. Coming from Abuja, which is a city, but as we know, it's a lot more quiet. It's nothing compared to Lagos. So the adjustment, it was okay. Malvern is a very lovely, very peaceful, quiet town, but also that has lots of youth, because obviously this is a pretty big school. There's a lot of young people here, and we all pretty much know each other. But it's also great that you have that sort of escape, especially if you're coming from Lagos. I think Malvern is actually a really good place for you, because before you start university or whatever, before you go out into the real world, you have a chance to just leave Lagos behind a little bit and, leave the traffic behind, and you can just come and, enjoy yourself in Malvern. It's also, I think, a really good distance from Birmingham and London, as Dr. Lloyd mentioned. And so that's really easy to navigate. On Exeat weekends, we go on the train, which is literally right in front of the school. It's perfect. We go on the train to London and to elsewhere. And I think this year we've started having teachers come with us just because there's quite a lot of people that go on these exia weekends to London. So again, it's just the safety of it. It's just making sure that we're all okay. And I think that's really important. I'm trying to think, what else can I
You've
add?
spoken brilliantly.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for listening to us both. And I must say thank you.
I think that's
Best ambassador ever. Ladies and gentlemen, are there any questions that you'd like to ask us?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that presentation. I enjoyed listening to you both. Okay, so we have a question in the chat box. So this is from Wando. She says, "Cheeky
She's raised her
question."
hand. Sorry, Da Silva. She's actually
Okay.
happy to speak as well. So she's raised her hand. So I think
Oh,
we
okay.
can
All
have
right.
her.
Please go ahead.
Mute.
Hello, Nwando. Nice to
Hello,
meet you.
hello, Dr. Lloyd. Nice to see you again. Oh, well,
Thank you
nice to
very much.
speak to you again. I just well, the question that I had in the chat box was I was following, I wouldn't say escapades, but I was following your journey in Nigeria. Now that you've been to Nigeria, which is better, Nigeria jollof or Ghana jollof? Am I putting you on the
Oh
spot
my
there?
goodness, I had jollof for the first time on Saturday night. It nearly blew my head off. It took me to the very extreme of what I can cope with on hot, chili, spicy food. I'm not the best, but I managed it, and I was
Well done.
to eat it all.
Well done. Well done. And thank you for your presentation. Rukayo, you're the best ambassador because you definitely, you literally answered the question that I had in the chat, which was for 13 plus joiners, how are they absorbed, if you will, into the system, into the boarding life? How are they supported through joining, any programs that are in place for them, vis-a-vis those that have been there since kindergarten, practically. But just hearing from Rukia that she joined in year 10, that sort of answered that question because she's obviously flourished. So that in itself speaks to the question that I had as well. And she'd also spoken to some other things that were popping up in my head as to dietary requirements. My daughter is celiac diagnosed, so obviously I know that would probably be catered for in terms of providing a gluten-free diet, in terms of where we live in Kent, so the safety of her getting on the train, coming home if we did get into, consider MSJ. And then the other thing that I wanted to pick up on that you mentioned, Dr. Lloyd, was the free taster week. Did I hear that correctly? Is it a taster week or a taster day?
Yes, we've introduced that this year, and it's really interesting. A number of girls have participated either in the full week or slightly less, and given the opportunity to spend that quality time,
Yes.
got 100% take up, which is terrific. And going back to those comments that you just mentioned, I mean this with humility. I'm a parent of 3 children in their 20s. And I think any self-respecting parent should ultimately want one thing only, and that is their child's happiness.
Yes.
Because without happiness, they're not going to engage in their academic studies effectively. It is so important, just alongside their safety. And we've got several girls and indeed staff who have celiac disease. So we can cater very well for that. And going back to the academic nurturing for our oldest girls, I literally read every single girl's application to university with a tooth comb, and I don't let it go unless I think it's as perfect as it could possibly be.
Right.
So it's that attention to detail that I think we are rightly proud of, from their academic studies to their health, to their safety, to ensuring that the girls' first experience here as a taster is positive. So I hope that reassures you, Nwando.
That's fantastic. And it's definitely unique. I've not seen it. I've not heard it. Even as a try, I've not heard it from any other school. So that's definitely a unique proposition from MSG, which is, definitely, I assume a lot of people would want to take that up. So ending, I'm not going to take up the whole Q&A session with you, but I just wanted to end more on a comment rather than a question. This is not the first time I'm interacting with you, Dr. Lloyd, and I've gone off the back of our initial, when we did a joint presentation for one of the brains and butter webinars in the past, and off the back of that, I've been almost like an unsolicited advocate for MSJ because I've spoken to the head of my my son's current school, who's cascaded that information to some other parents who are looking for schools for their daughters. And, I've just always said the passion that Dr. Lloyd has for education, and in particular, girls' education. If I could go back to school, I would go to MSJ just purely for the passion you show for the girls and for your staff, and I guess just for education in general. So, that's a keep it up from me, and very well done. And we will consider, that taster week or a few days if when we come to that. So thank you for that.
Our pleasure. Thank you. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Thank you very much for that question, Wando. Yes. Okay, I think we have one more question.
Certainly.
Okay, yes. So we have one for Rukaya, and it's from Moses Onoja. So Rukaya, how have you been practicing your faith? Have you encountered any setbacks or challenges along the way?
No, is the short, quick, and easy answer to that. Not a single challenge faced in that department. Like I've already mentioned, halal food is there for me. It's an option. No matter what meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it's always there. I have free access to the prayer room, to the multi-faith prayer room, and I can go in there whenever I need to. Obviously, outside of lesson time, and I can go in there whenever I need to. I can pray my prayers 5 times a day, and that is not a challenge, and that is not an issue. And in terms of just being sort of from a slightly different faith than everyone else, I think there is no sort of stigmatization, there is no preconceived notions, there's no dangerous stereotypes that people have that could be affecting me and how they interact with me. And there is a genuine curiosity, which I think is really important. So, people might wonder why I cover my hair, what's that? What would you call that? Why do you have to do that? So it's a genuine curiosity, and it's not coming from a place of, oh, why is she doing that? It's from a place of, I want to learn more. I'm going out into the real world and I want to know more people and more, I want to educate myself, and I think that's really heartwarming. So I've been freely practicing my faiths. Any questions are always respectful, and I love talking about it. So I'm always willing to answer and just do my part to help.
Brilliant answer. We've got several girls down the school who are very committed Muslim as well. And it was really interesting to do a sort of almost a joint assembly once where we were looking at the significance of Ramadan and the similarity to Lent. So, that sacrifice, it goes across many faiths. And it's what it does in terms of that inner peace, that inner preparation, that inner reflection. And we're very comfortable as a staff, as well as you can see, the girls, to discuss those really important issues. So Moses, thank you very much for an excellent question.
Thank you very much for that answer. And you have answered so well. It's been nice and interesting listening to you both. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting us, and all the best in your decisions, parents.
All right. So moving on, we'll move to the next school on the lineup, and that will be Royal School Wolverhampton. And representing this school, we have Alex Large and Jamie, the head of admissions.
Hello, hi, thank you to Silva. Thank you for your introduction. I'm going to share my presentation, if that's okay. Good morning, everybody.
That's fine. Please go ahead.
Okay, so welcome. My name is Alex Large. I'm the head of boarding here at the Royal School, and also a house parent in the boys' house. Now, the Royal School is a state boarding school. What that means is that we are a member of the state sector. Our education is funded by the government. So unlike the independent sector, we only charge for the boarding fees. So the education is free, and you only pay for the boarding. And also another advantage for us is that we're not subject to the recent VAT rise. So we've been able to keep our fees, our annual fees, at the same price as they were before that rise came in, which is great for us. The bad news, unfortunately, which may rule some of you out, is that you do have to have the right to live in the UK or a British passport. Your child has to have that to attend our school. So please kind of continue to listen to our presentation, find out a bit more about us. But we have slightly different conditions for our school, being a member of the state sector, compared to some of the other schools you'll see today. So first of all, where are we? We're based in Wolverhampton. And for those of you who don't know where that is, that's just 20 minutes away from Birmingham. So we have a major airport, kind of 40-minute drive away. We're also based in the middle of the country, so we're easily accessible to Liverpool, to Manchester. We can get to London and back to Euston in kind of 2 hours, which is great. So in terms of that location in the UK, it's a fabulous transport hub. And that means that we can get to lots of other places in the UK where there's loads of things happening, particularly at weekends with activities and things like that I'll get on to talk about in a minute. Also, more locally, the school itself is just a 10-minute kind of walk into the city centre, into Wolverhampton, into the shops where most of our boarders will end up on a Saturday afternoon. And then if you go the other way, we're into some fabulous countryside, so we can go for walks and going up hills and things like that. So in terms of our location, it's a fantastic place to be. Now, our boarding structure, we have both boys and girls that board with us, from age 11 all the way up to 19. So that's year 7 all the way up to year 13, in both houses. And it leads to a lovely environment in each house where you've got kind of your year 12 and your year 13 boarders effectively being older brothers and sisters to our younger boarders in the house. And it's great in terms of supporting them with their academic work. We can have mentors in the house. If you're in year 9, for example, and you're struggling with a subject, you could be pinpointed to maybe a year 12 who's kind of an expert in that and helping them with their prep. It also means in terms of kind of games and things like that and playing PlayStation in the evening, you've got that kind of real brother or sister relationship in the house, which is a strong theme that you'll find throughout my presentation. Now, in terms of our pastoral care, this is something that I think is really at the forefront of everybody's mind at the minute. There's a significant increase in mental health and anxiety across the UK for all and internationally across all kind of teenagers, partly due to COVID, partly due to kind of exam pressures, things like that. So we have a real kind of nurturing environment, both in the boarding houses and at school. And the boarding houses have mental health trained first aiders. We're there to spot the patterns. We're there to spot people that are burning out. We're there to spot people that have maybe gone a bit quiet over the past few weeks, and then they clearly need to talk to somebody, and we can direct them to the appropriate help they need. We've got a school counsellor who is excellent, and we can refer them to those. We can assign qualified mentors during the school day, and we have kind of well-being areas throughout the school, and we have a safeguarding team that's renowned in the local area as well, where we can link our practices with professionals and external agencies. We also have an activity program that we're really proud of. We've introduced a boarding passport. I'm a firm believer that boarders have a tremendous advantage over those who haven't boarded when they get onto kind of university or apprenticeships or wherever they go after they've left us, in the fact that they've really kind of honed their skills and become a lot more independent than their day counterparts. And it's things like having to get into the routine of changing their bed every week and we make sure they can use an iron. We take them to the food tech room and do some cooking with them. Two lads, you can see in my picture, build a mini greenhouse one of the summers because we wanted to start growing some plants. We've done some pizza making. So there's loads of what we call life skills that we think are really important, that boarders naturally pick up, and we try and document those and show them what they've achieved in their time with us. That's in boarding. And then in the club that predominantly does all the fundraising for the school throughout the time here. So there's opportunities there. That's when our sports teams would practice, particularly for the boys, basketball and football are our main sports, and for the girls, netball and football and other sports there. But we have everything running, from craft clubs to finance clubs to career clubs. So there's lots of things for students to get into after school as well. And then also we have a boarding activity program on a Wednesday night. Every Wednesday night we have different activities running. We have 2 GAP students from Australia who did some presentation and made some food for all the boarders last night. We've got a quiz night coming up. We've got chocolate bingo, which is always popular. When we can, we get the boarders to a local football match. We go and watch Wolverhampton Wanderers or another local club, or we go to the theatre. So we do those things during the week. And then at the weekends, that's when we do our, what you probably call more traditional boarding trips, whether it's going to Alton Towers, the local theme park, or whether it's going paintballing, or we had a company come on site and do some fencing with us. There's loads of different opportunities for the boarders to get stuck into at the weekends. And talking of our sport, we're really proud of our.
Large. We can't
Yes.
see your presentation anymore, just in case, because you went off very briefly.
Okay. Hang on. Are you back? Can you see that again now?
Now we can, thank you.
Yeah, excellent. So just to talk about sport a little bit here, we're really proud of some of our recent leavers, and all the people in front of you are boarders who have stayed with us at the Royal School. We have an elite swimming program that's incredibly popular, and in the top left you've got Matt Richards there, who not only won the gold medal at Tokyo, has then repeated his achievement in Paris last year. And he actually lived in the dorm opposite my flat, which I always think is quite crazy. He's now a gold medalist and world champion.
Okay, so while we're waiting for Mr. Large to come back, Dr. Alo, I've really been itching to hear from you, since yesterday. Okay, Mr. Large is back, all right.
Sorry, do I keep dropping out?
Yes.
Oh, sorry about that.
But you're back now.
I'm back. Excellent. Right, sorry. Let's try again.
Okay.
So those are some of our sports stars who are former boarders. I'll move on to the academic success that we've had recently. Now, we are a non-selective school, so we are really proud of every pupil, and it's all about meeting the individual needs of whether they want to go to a local university and study agriculture, or whether, like Nick, who came to us, was clearly a high-flying student And we helped support him during the evenings at school with his prep sessions, and got 4 A stars, and went to Cambridge to study economics. So we've got a wide range of students. We encourage everybody to achieve as best as possible, and that may mean going to a Russell Group university. But like I said, it's about getting that right, getting the students and the boarders on the right path for them individually, and making sure they're going on to the next steps that they want to do and achieve. As I said, the family theme is kind of integral to us here at the Royal School, and we have a really committed staff team. And I've pulled a couple of quotes from our fantastic Ofsted report from 2023, October 2023. And I think what's quite a nice story is those 2 lads there aren't boarders, they're my own 2 sons. And I'd mentioned to one of the Nigerian boys in the house that my 2 boys had an African Day coming up at their primary school. And he reached out to his mum, and a week later, these parcels came for me, and she'd sent over some clothes so they could dress up properly for their African Day. And I think that goes to show the relationship that the staff have with the families. They may not be next door down the road. This family is over in Nigeria, but we always send WhatsApps to each other. The amount of messages I get on kind of Christmas Day and New Year's to kind of wish me well, particularly from the African mums, is just such a truly heartwarming thing to receive. And we have a strong passion for our family commitment. And there you go. I'll just leave you with some of the other activities that we get on with, and I'll stop sharing my screen before it pauses again, and I have to get it up. So I'll stop that and get back to just me. So that's the Royal School in a nutshell. If you would like to find out more, there's some great videos on our website, on the Royal School Wolverhampton website. And I think over to you, parents, if you have any questions about the Royal School.
Thank you very much for that presentation. So parents, over to you. If you have any questions, Mr. Large will be more than happy to answer your questions. Let me see if there are any questions. Okay, so while we're waiting for parents to ask their questions, I would want you to speak a bit more on I was going to ask you how vibrant your sports is, but you already mentioned that in your presentation. I see you have a very vibrant sports department. So I want you to speak a little more on your pastoral care.
Yeah, so that's something that I think is quite on trend at the minute, and we do find that students are coming to us and want more support, and we try and put in as much as possible for them. And we've got a connection between the boarding and the day, and we're in regular communication with our day counterparts. So myself in boarding, I know what's happening in the day, and the boarding staff, the day staff, know what's happening in boarding. And it just means that if they've had a bad day at school, or they've something hasn't gone right in a particular lesson, the day staff are very good at picking that up and then letting the boarding staff know. So as soon as they come in the door, we always have a box of biscuits and a drink for them when they arrive. You've got that opportunity to ask them kind of how their day was, and they'll quite often stop for a chat, and you can kind of deconstruct things there and avoid things building up and then them just going off to their room perhaps and locking themselves away. So you've got a real kind of strong connection between day and boarding. And like I said, in terms of the support, we've got a really big pastoral team. We have what we call heads of house during the day, and assistant heads of house as well, who are non-teaching, so can kind of pick people up and talk to them. And we have a well-being hub, so if a student isn't feeling particularly great that day, or they can't concentrate in a lesson perhaps, they can take themselves off to the wellbeing hub, chat to somebody, talk something through, ready to get them back into the next lesson, so they're ready to go, so they're not tailing off for the rest of the day. So there's a huge amount of support for them built in there.
Okay, thank you. We have other questions for you. So Torishe says, thank you so much. What a great school. May I please ask, what provision do you have for neurodivergent children?
Yes, so we have, again, we have a really strong SEND department. We have a Senko and her team with assistants that we already have neurodivergent children in the school, and they would before coming into the school, during that admission stage, you'd have a meeting with the Senko online, and we talk about not only how we could support them in the day, but how we could support them in the evenings. And we've got borders where we have to kind of slightly adjust what we do for them in the evening time. And we had one girl, for example, who we could never when we had the fire alarm, she hated loud noises. So if we were having a test, for example, we kind of had to give her a tip off that evening there would be a fire drill at some point, so she could kind of compose herself, and it wasn't unexpected and causing a lot of kind of drama when it all went off. She was prepared. She didn't know exactly when, so you still got that element that we would need for the fire drill and for people to react to it. But she knew that it would be happening that evening, so was prepared. And when we're making changes, for instance, to the schedule in an evening, we'd let her know before we decide. We told all the girls at house meeting, because otherwise she thought whenever we were talking about something, it was just, or we're talking about messy rooms, for example, her room was always neat, so we would say, look, by the way, your room's fine, but I do have to speak to all the girls tonight about the state of their rooms. So please be aware that when I'm talking to the girls as a group, it's not to you, it's to everybody. So it's little allowances like that, particularly those boarders and students with kind of neurodivergence that we can really cater for.
Okay, we have other questions. I'm sure the parents would have loved to ask their questions live, but for lack of time, I'll just read out the questions as against letting them ask you live. So I have two other questions. I'll read out the two questions and then you can take it together, or take them together rather. Miss Moses says, how do schools prioritize reading in a tech-driven world? And then we have Torishe ask again, also, with regards to acting, performance, and music, what programs do you have in place to support children with these passions? Do you support LAMDA and or English speaking board? How often are stage productions put on?
Lovely. I'll talk to you about the reading first. So once a week, every morning, we have in our form time, we have a kind of half an hour form time before school, and there's a dedicated morning each week committed to reading, and children are encouraged to bring their own books, but each classroom is stocked with a massive box of books as well, for students to be reading kind of every morning. We have little reading corners in both boarding houses as well. The head of the girls' house is a voracious reader, and so she started a little book club within Lichfield as well. So there's a few girls there who have joined that, and they're reading a book at the minute and talking about that, meeting once a week. And I think it's just about modelling as well. So my staff as well in the evenings will always have a book on our desk to kind of when we can, 5 minutes, although it's not always easy on a busy evening in the boarding house, kind of pick up that book and model it there. I think that's the best way forward. And we, in terms of tech, we collect in devices overnight. So depending on your age, we have slightly different bedtimes and hand-in times, but we collect those mobile devices and tablets and monitor cables in at night to make sure that they are kind of getting that break away from tech, because although tech is great and we should embrace it, it's really important that we're doing what we can to make sure there's the correct balance. And in terms of music and drama, at the minute we have I think over 300 of our students across the school out of just over 800 from the primary school as well, that do music lessons each week. So in terms of music, we have peripatetic teachers that come in and teach music lessons.
Oh, so sorry, we lost him there. Okay, I'm sure he would come back later to finish responding to that question. Okay, so while we wait for him to come back later, I'll just move to the next school that would be presenting. And that would be Denton College. Representing Denton College, we have Juliet Sheldon, and she's the head of admissions. Good morning, Juliet.
Good morning, everybody. I'm very pleased to be speaking to you this morning. You mentioned that it's a beautiful day in Lagos and it's very sunny. It is very windy here. So if you do lose me in the same way that Royal School were going in and out, it might be due to the wind. I'm delighted to be speaking to you all this morning. Thank you so much to everybody at Brains and Butter for inviting me today. We said, my name's Juliet Sheldon. I'm the head of admissions here at Denton College. We have 750 pupils here in our college and prep at Denton, aged from 4 to 18. Approximately 200 children are boarders, ranging from full, weekly and flexi. And I'm going to share with you. Let me just, hopefully that is working for you now. I'm going to share a small kind of presentation to talk you through this morning, including a film from this Monday, this week. We had an international showcase where all our boarders from overseas were speaking to everybody and showing everybody about their country. So I'm going to go through that for you. So let me just play that for you now.
Did you click on share computer sound, because we can't hear?
I'm sorry?
So you know when you shared your screen, did you click on in the little box that says share your computer sound?
Sorry. Let me just do that. Sorry, everybody.
No problem.
There we go. Right, well, just okay. We're going to try again. Sorry about this, everybody. I've got two screens, so okay. Perfect. Right, we'll try again now. There we go. Right, hopefully you can hear it this time.
Welcome to the Denstone College International Showcase Evening. I'm here with students from all across the globe to show off their culture.
It's great to see so many different nationalities represented here, and the fact that people are proud of where they come from and they're willing to put on all the stalls so we can see.
So I'm here at the Nigerian and Lebanese stall. Kai, can you just tell me what you're cooking up here?
Jollof rice. It contains onions, tomatoes, often served with fish and assorted meat. I'm from Yoruba and I've got the kaftan on, which is, this half is Lebanese, the bottom half's Nigerian.
So why do you think our international showcase is a great event?
Well, we've just moved here from Australia and it's a great way to express our culture and what our country's like, and it's also great for us to see other international students and to learn about their own cultures as well.
So this is one of our national games that we play. It's a game that pretty much anyone can play. You take off your flip-flops, we call them thongs in Australia, and you basically take off your thong and you try and hit the flag off or the tinny as we've got down there at the moment, and the person who can hit the tinny off the cone wins.
Okay, so I'm here with Nellis. Nellis is one of our foreign students from Zimbabwe. You're a full-time boarder.
Yes.
How would you say boarding has helped you become more culturally aware?
I've been internationally boarding for 4 years now. This is my 5th year. It helps you understand that there are people from different backgrounds, the different routines people have. I was in a Muslim country before this. I fasted with people for Ramadan. You learn to exchange different cultures and see all the different places around the world and how beautiful different cultures can be.
Do you think boarding has helped you become more culturally aware?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely, because in boarding you meet like lots of people who are from different countries, for example from Zimbabwe or like China or different countries, and you talk to them, you get to know them, and you just get to know their culture as well.
Perfect, thank you very much. Very popular stall this tonight, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Connor, you're a full-time boarder.
Yeah,
how would you say boarding's kind of helped you become more culturally aware?
Clearly you can tell the international showcase tonight. We just done one last year. It was nowhere near as big as this. The number of countries has increased a lot. I also get a chance to talk to all other people from different countries.
I'm here with a fellow Level 6 student of mine, Billy Hoff. Billy's also a full-time boarder. And we're here to do the Spice Challenge, so let's bring it on. 3, 2, 1. Yep. I can see why it's a Spice Challenge. So I'm here with a fellow Level 6 student of mine, Tilly Hostein. Tilly, I'll just ask you a few questions. So, what have you made of the night so far?
Yeah, I think it's really good. I like experiencing mostly the food, but I like experiencing the different cultures on each stand, and I think it's really nice, yeah.
So you mentioned the food there. I've got to ask, what's been your favourite food that you've tasted so far tonight?
I have to admit, the best food is probably from the Cyprus stand, the halloumi and flatbread. Like 10 out of 10, that was really
Can't go wrong with halloumi, can you?
You can't.
Right, that's enough chit chat from me. I'm going to go and do some more exploring, tuck into some lovely cuisine, and let's really find out if that halloumi is as good as people saying it is.
Hopefully that was helpful when I eventually got it to work. We thought it would be really nice for you to all see the film from Monday night with lots of our boarding students. The film was made by students and filmed by them, which was lovely. As I mentioned, we have approximately 200 boarders here at Denstone College. Some of them will be full boarders, some will be weekly, and some will do flexible boarding. They are spread across 4 boarding houses, North House, South House, Mossmore and Hartley, which have boys or girls and different areas for different ages across the school. So going on to our curriculum and education, we have the lower school, the middle school, the senior school. These will also be part of our pastoral levels as well. We will have our pastoral care within the boarding houses, but also within school we'll have tutors, heads of houses and heads of year as well, so that all of our pupils have lots of different members of staff who they can access if they have any queries, whether it be academic or pastoral. If you have any questions at all, I'd be delighted to answer those for you now. And hopefully the wind hasn't stopped you from being able to listen this morning.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that presentation. Okay, so we're waiting for parents to ask their questions. Parents, if you would like to ask your questions live, you may indicate by a show of hand and we would make that happen. Let me see if there are any hands up. Okay, there are no hands up. This might be a good time to bring Dr. Alo up. I've been itching to hear from her. Dr. Alo is the lead consultant for Brains and Butter. Okay, so while we wait for Dr. Alo, let me just ask you a question. So how vibrant, do you have a vibrant sports department, and how vibrant is it? Because, you know, Nigerians especially love football, and a lot of parents want a situation where their children can get to learn football and, you know, probably get into the league and all of that. So do you have programs that support this? How vibrant is it?
So we have rugby, cricket, football, hockey as our main sports. They will be different sports which will feature as the main sport depending on the term. We have connections with Derbyshire and Staffordshire cricket and connections with Leicester Tigers rugby. We will also have children playing football. Our curriculum is a 360 curriculum, so children will access sport and activities every day. It's a slightly longer school day, and we have school on Saturday mornings as well. We found that this works really well for our full-time overseas boarders because on a Friday night, when perhaps the day students are going home, it doesn't all go quiet because obviously everybody's back in on a Saturday. There will be fixtures and sport practices on Wednesday afternoons and Saturday afternoons. And then on Saturday evenings and Sundays, we will have our main boarders trips as well. But sport is a huge part of life at Denstone College, yes.
Okay, so I'd love you to speak a little about bursary and scholarship opportunities in your school.
No problem at all. So we have made a change with our scholarships. So scholarships at Denstone College are an honorary award. So if a child comes for their entrance process and they gain a scholarship in sport or in music or in academic, that will be an accolade for themselves, which is amazing when they're going to university. It does not have a fee remission attached to it. Many independent schools in the United Kingdom will have scholarships which have a fee remission attached. For parents wishing to access a fee remission, we have our bursary process, which will be the bursary form and supporting paperwork to go with that. So the child is the scholar and they gain that accolade, and then obviously the parents can access financial assistance should they need to.
Oh, okay, absolutely. Thank you. Bimbola, would you want to say something?
Hi, thank you so much. That was a beautiful presentation.
You're
I got
welcome. You're
lost
very
in the
welcome.
video.
It was very,
I was
very, very
watching.
cool.
Yes, it is. And the Nigerian Yoruba guy who said he was cooking jollof rice. That was impressive to watch. So my question will be, how is the relationship between the students and the teachers? I know that there is need for empathy and all these requirements, so how has it been?
So as I briefly mentioned, we have the sort of the different layers of pastoral care. So for example, for a student coming into GCSEs in year 10, they will have a tutor. If they are boarding, they will have their head of boarding house and their boarding pastoral staff. they will also have their head of house. So we have our boarding houses, which are our pupils' homes, and then we have our houses, which are our school houses. So a student will have their academic subject teachers, their tutor, their head of house, and their head of boarding and boarding staff. So they will have lots of different people to talk to. Naturally, in life, we all get along with some people better than others. But with all of these different pastoral layers and academic layers, we find that all of our pupils have got someone that they can go and access. Over and above that, our health and wellbeing centre has won lots of awards. And as with, lots of schools, we will have a counsellor, we have on-site nurses. So, whether it's a broken toe from doing some hockey or homesickness, all of those things can be incorporated. So the students have lots of different people to access to care for them.
Okay, one more question.
Yeah.
What's the nature of accessibility for parents to their awards, to the students? Is there a time frame, or how does that work for parents?
Do you mean with regard to the entrance and assessment process?
No, in regards to reaching out to the awards in school, maybe trying to get across to them through a phone call. Do you have to call someone special for that?
So we have in the assessment process, we will obviously have teams. If a child is here, we can have either guardians attend parents' evenings. I think hopefully that's what you mean. And also if parents' evenings need to be done by teams for our international parents, that's absolutely not a problem. I think that there were lots of negative things that came out of COVID, but the positive things were events like we're doing today, far more accessibility for parents who are overseas to parent in a normal way, but just via Teams. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you
Okay,
so much.
no, you're welcome.
Silver, over to you, Mal.
Thank you. Thank you for those questions. And thank you for your presentation, Denton College. That was amazing. So,
You're very welcome.
and yes, so right about now, we're going to move into the panel session. And please, we would want you to wait behind because we'd want you to be part of the panel as well. I'd also like to thank Malvern St. James for waiting behind as well, because it's going to be part of the panel as well. So we have an interesting topic to discuss. But before we move into the panel session, we have someone to speak to that topic for us. And then we'll open the panel so that we have a broader and more robust discussion on it. So here we have with us Oluwatosin of Akere Book Foundation to speak on the topic, encouraging reading in a tech-driven world.
So,
good morning.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, like you said, you've been doing a fantastic job so far. I joined about a couple of minutes ago, and the part that I caught has been really, intriguing. Also, kudos to Brains and Butter for putting this together. So quickly, within the short period of time that I'm giving, it's while we've been having interesting conversations about British boarding school and trying to further education, I think it's important that we also place a very strong focus on reading in a time like this where technology is advancing by the day. Every point in time, we're having a lot of things fighting for the attention of people's mind, of young adults, let me say children to teenagers. There are so many stimulus around on social media feeds and everything. It's quite easy to get overstimulated. So I think one of the things that reading does for someone in this generation, in a time like this, a child, to be very specific, is that it helps them to be focused. It helps them to build a great attention span to focus to be able to navigate. Because you see, when you read, another thing that reading does in a world where we're talking about automating almost everything now, we're having AIs and, further things like that. Research has shown that reading actually, especially reading fiction books, can help a child develop more empathy, because when you read a fiction book, it takes you're able to view the life from the scope of these characters, and it goes beyond an hobby. It goes beyond it being a thing to pass the time. It's something fundamental and quite structural to the developmental stage of a growing child. So I think in a world like this, where smartphones, application, everything is getting automated, which is good, but emphasis needs to be laid more on reading, because there are more benefits to reading than we could ever think of. So I'm going to share two more focal points to reading, because when it comes to studying, when it comes to education now, the scope keeps getting broader. The scope is getting wider. So there is a need to meet the needs of students at a particular point in time. One of the things that we at Akere Book Foundation are doing at the moment, we're trying to enrich minds, we're trying to feed minds, especially starting from the rural area of Nigeria. We're starting from Eastern Nigeria and hoping to put across, because we've realized that with helping people, I keep saying people, but our focus right now is more on teenagers. Our focus is on teenagers, on children. But interestingly, that's what reading does. Regardless of the age group, there is still something for each and every one of us. And so there's a research that we came across about around the last quarter of the previous year, and it shows how reading also helps the brain to create new pathways to be able to assimilate more. So interestingly, the more you read, the smarter you become, the more intelligent you are. And to be honest, I wouldn't want to spend all the time here just telling us about the importance of reading, because I'm sure an average person on this call has had to read to be where they are today. But I'd like to just offer certain new scope to what we already know. So one of those scope is that currently now there are people who in different part of the world, but we're focusing right now on Nigeria, who do not have access to books, and I think is really alarming to say the very least. So one of the things that we do at the foundation is that we get books to this area as well. We have a library project currently going on, where the goal is to establish a library in this area. We have an area that has right now, the area has about 2,400 children between the age of 8 and 14. And this is an area that scopes of is a span area for about 14 schools. Sorry, I'm trying to be sure about the data. So we have about 14 schools, and none of these schools have access to a library. We're not even talking about a proper library. We're talking about no access to any library of any sort. So, and is one of the things we're doing, like I mentioned at the foundation, is focusing on this library project, because it's a literacy foundation. Beyond library project, we have other programs that we're actively pushing for across schools. We're distributing books to not just, so we have the library project, and we also have the reaching out through books project to talk about books from different spheres and all that, making that available. And I think that one of the ways we also can leverage on technology for in a bit to enhance reading right now is to, we already have that with the Kindle app, because it's a way of technology crossing to meet reading. So now we have books, and then you can have as many ebooks as you would like on a Kindle. We hope to be able to reach a lot. It's a phase in our project that we're hoping to reach a lot of people with supporting them with Kindle. So meaning they can walk around everywhere with numerous books on one device. So that way they are still on device, but at least at this point in time, they are able to enrich their mind while still, leveraging on technology as opposed to going everywhere with multiple books. So I don't know how many more minutes that I have. I would like someone to communicate that to me so I can know how to manage my time.
2 more minutes.
Oh, great. So I would like to share a bit of the progress that we've made in the last couple of months. The foundation is barely a year, and I'm going to be sharing my screen now. So I don't know if can we see the screen?
Not yet.
Okay. Just give me a minute. I think we should be able to see that by now.
Not yet.
Okay. How about now?
Yes, you're about to.
Okay, all right. I think I'm sharing now, right?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you so much. So, so this is what we do, Macquarie Book Foundation. We're a nonprofit organization committed to empowering the next generation by feeding the minds of the future. And our mission is simple: to promote literacy, increase access to books, broaden perspective, empower future readers, and foster lifelong learning. One of the things how we've been doing this, we've been asking people to donate books. So from different places all over the world, we've been encouraging people to send books from any of these categories and genre, from fiction, historical books, adventure, non-fiction, memoirs, children books, comic books, educational textbooks, dictionaries, poetry, religious or cultural books. And one of the things we do is that when we receive this book, we sort them, and especially for the project we're doing now, we're establishing a library. So we've also been taking financial donations for this project. And currently now, this is a 3D model of the library that we're currently working on. We've been able to get a space. We have about close to half of the budget for the execution of this project at the moment. So we're going to be getting a librarian, also having 2 computers for research purposes. It's a quite small library. I think we can see what the final output is going to be like, a 3D model of what we are working with. So thank you so much, Brains and Butter. Thank you so much, Dr. Ali, for giving us this opportunity to share the importance of reading in a tech-driven world as we are. I have a video. Is the sound on? Are we able to listen to the sound from the video?
There's no sound.
Okay, I'm going to work on that now. Sorry, give me a minute. Is the audio on now?
No.
Okay, so I'm finding it difficult to be able to connect the audio, but this is what the space we have right now looks like. And So thank you so much once again. That's a little video, and at the beginning of the video, we have the space that we're refurbishing. Then we've been able to get more books. That was while we were at the bookstore getting a number of books. Currently now, we've been able to get roughly over 200. Our goal for this particular project is just 1,000 books. So once again, thank you so much for having us on the UK Boarding School Fair.
Thank you for your presentation. It's nice having you here. Okay, so now we'll go into the panel session. So on the panel, we'll have Dr. Gareth Lloyd of Malvern St. James. Dr. Gareth, are you there? And then we also have Denton College, Juliet Sheldon. Thank you for waiting behind. We also have amiable Dr. Alo.
Thank you.
It's nice to be able to hear from you finally today. And we also still have on the call Oluwatosin. Okay, so this topic happens to be something that is very, very dear to my heart. So I have loads of questions for you all. Okay, so I'll start this way. We all know, like Mr. Tosin has pointed out, the importance of reading. But we also know that the children of this age would rather be on their gadgets than reading, that the love for reading has actually dwindled. So how do we marry their love for gadgets and also develop their interest for reading? How do we balance the two? So I'll start with Denton College, Juliet Sheldon.
I think what we found here is that particularly since COVID, children have been reading less. Lots of children in the United Kingdom, I'm absolutely sure it was the same in Nigeria, were learning from home on their computer. So that became the norm. Meetings like we're doing today are now the norm. What we have introduced here, so we have a beautiful library. We're extremely lucky. The pictures that you have shown us of, the library that you've been building is incredible. And so our littlest children will have a lesson each week that is now a library lesson. So they come up, we have a section in the library that's for them, and we start. These are books in their hand. And then that goes through. The library is accessed by our older children, years 7 to 11, exclusively at break and lunch times. To they print off work, access books. We have 2 librarians. Our sixth form students use it to study. So although we embrace everything that's tech, we also embrace this very traditional space of the library to try and get the balance.
Okay, Dr. Alo, the same question for you.
Thank you. And can I just say that I'm really pleased our parents have stayed on for this conversation. This is something we've newly introduced to our fair, where we have a topic on each day and we can discuss the topic. So beyond you hearing all the amazing things about the schools, you get to hear what the schools are doing in tandem with the topic for the day that we're discussing. So it's really encouraging to see our parents stay on it. It tells us that these conversations are important. So I'm really pleased about that. So I'm going to speak as a parent because technology is both a blessing and a curse. In many ways, it has made my life easier because if I just need to switch off, I can just get the children on their laptop or on their phone. Well, it's just one of them that has a phone at the moment. And I know I can just get some sanity. But at the same time, and they use their laptop for some of the work that they do. However, at the same time, I worry about cyber security. I worry about the distractions. I worry about the games. And I'm like, what do I need to, how can I lessen these worries that I have? So I know that there is a lot out there in terms of parental controls that parents can put in place. And I'm personally trying to invest in acquiring that knowledge so I can put these measures in place. But the thing is, these children are really smart. So my son now deletes his search history. So we used to be able to check what he has searched online, but now we can't because he knows how to delete his search history. So they're really very smart. So, this whole idea of having a library and having a space that is gadget free is one measure that I have personally found to be really useful. So not having their laptops at a certain time, like literally putting time control measures in place has been particularly useful, but also speaking to them regularly, letting them understand the benefits of having a gadget and how they can do so much more with the device than being distracted on the device. So there's a lot of talking that we have to do to our children, and the schools themselves are also putting measures in place to help them deal with this habit of having a gadget, bearing in mind that they were born into this world of technology compared to some of us who had to transition from a very analog style of living and working to a tech-driven way of living.
Okay, so Mr. Tosin, I would ask this question. It's actually from a parent. And the parent says, just give me a minute, please. Okay, the parent says, are there specific programs aimed at fostering a love for reading in younger students?
So yes, I think it also answers the previous question. One of the model that we're using for addressing this issue is in three. Number one, I think that we need to leverage on technology. I mentioned Kindle. Through applications too, and also I think one of the things I left out earlier was audiobooks. I think now there's a form of reading on the go where you can listen to the books. And secondly, we need to create spaces where reading is easier, where reading is comfortable. I'm talking about libraries, making libraries cozy. I mean, there's some spaces that you would just really want to be, like let the space be welcoming. So I think that's the second view. So we can internalize this in the home. We can create a reading room, and we have to be intentional about the element design. How to make the room a comfort room, a place where the kids will love to be. There are models of this. If you just look online, models to create engaging reading room, a 21st century engaging reading room. And I think another focal point to look at it from is to create a reward system for reading. When a behavior is rewarded, is reinforced. So there are chances of the behavior being repeated. Very basic law of reinforcement. So we do this by having a reward system when they meet a certain quota for reading, not just academic books. So there is that, but also like general reading. So, you've done this, okay, we put a quota there, and then we can have some sort of book giveaways to encourage the habit. So we can have more people give more books and other forms of reward that are not necessarily book-based. So I think this different focal point can, by the time you put them together, because one of the things I've realized is that the little changes across multiple things, I think they'll call it butterfly effect, that results in a massive change. So when you adjust the reading space, you encourage the reading habit, and finally, you put technologies in place that makes the reading habits easier. I think we can easily encourage the reading habit. Did I answer the question?
Yes, you did.
Okay, thank you.
Very much so. Okay, Mr. Lloyd, if you're here, can you turn on your video? Sorry, Dr. Lloyd. Is Dr. Lloyd here? I can see you on the call. Okay, so while we're waiting for Dr. Lloyd, okay, so Miss Sheldon, I know a lot of educators are advocating for reduced screen time. But for the fact that children really do not like to read hard copy books, would you excuse this screen time for the sake of reading? Would you excuse it? Would you permit it just so that children are able to read if they prefer that type of reading? Like if they prefer to read on their screen, would you permit higher screen time or a longer screen time just so that children are able to read?
I think what you'll find with a huge amount of schools at the moment is that they are trying to reduce phone or iPad usage. Obviously, phones are really helpful. We have children who are traveling, who are coming in on the bus in the morning, so having a telephone is great. Obviously, our international students, I remember once saying, please can everyone show me that their boarding passes so I know that you're going to be getting on your flight, and they just looked at me as if I had come from another century, and they were like, it's on my phone. So I think in answer to your question, yes, we do, utilize Teams for children to access their assignments and their timetable. But I think in sort of the opposite to that, we are really trying to promote going into the library and picking up a book. And I know that that's not for everybody. Our librarians are amazing. We have sometimes they will do a big display that's all a particular color on the front cover. So the books will have nothing to do with each other. It might be pick up a book for a sunny day and all the covers are yellow. So the children will go in and say, oh, well, I might try that. We'll have, the Booker Prize nominees, all sorts of different ways to get children in. But as you say, if having your book on your iPad is what children want to do. I mean, nobody goes on their holiday now with 4 paperbacks in their suitcase. They take their Kindle or their iPad. Then absolutely. I think what we found here at school, which is why we've had a huge change with our mobile phone policy. What we'd found is that obviously the children were saying that they were going to be using them to be on Teams and to do school things when actually they're not. There on TikTok or something like that. So we've actually taken all of that back. So we're not having phones in corridors. We're not having phones at break and lunchtime. Tech is great, and if you want to read on tech, it's good. But I think we're trying to make spaces where it is reading, not Instagramming and TikToking. That was a very long answer. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. Okay, so Dr. Alo, I'm going to tweak it a little bit. Dr. Alo, are you there?
I am here, yes.
Okay, so would you, I know you said just one of your children has a phone now. Mm-hmm. Would you buy your younger children phone if you're sure he wants to use the phone for reading?
No. Below a certain age, no. So he has a laptop. They have laptops that they can use for whatever it is they want to do. We have tablets that they can use. So definitely no, below a certain age, they're not getting any phone. They can use my phone if they want to play a game or if I just want to keep them quiet for a little bit if I'm on a train ride. But no. I know some people may think I'm a traditional old school mom, but I have no apologies for being old school, traditional, and I want to preserve their childhood. I think Julia wants to say something to that as well.
I totally agree. My children are much older than yours. They're 15 and 17. And we held off mobile phones for as long as possible. They had little Amazon tablets that they could use, but absolutely. I am very lucky. We've talked about technology and children only accessing certain levels. I'm very lucky. My husband is amazing at tech, so has always had the parent controls on. But no, my children would still not have a mobile phone if I could get away with it.
And I'd like to add, actually, so at Denstone College, there's a fantastic library. So I've been to Denstone, and honestly, I think you probably refurbished it a few years. It just looks so amazing, like the glass doors, the comfy bean bags and the chairs and the areas and how it's all laid out. I think it is amazing that you have such a fantastic library space, which is why at Brains and Butter we're really happy to support what Oluwatosin of Akere Book Foundation is doing and giving people in remote rural areas access to such spaces. There's something that environment does for you when you go into a space and you just see the books and it's like you get lost in this world of learning. And honestly, you wouldn't even want to take your device actually when you get used to that habit because there's a serenity that the children get into. And that's how I felt at the Denstone College Library. I could literally just sit down there. I wish it was part of my visit to just spend an hour there, pick up a good book, and have a really good read. So like good old library spaces. I went to Queen's College. I have some old girls on the call. It's so amazing to see them on the call. And we loved going to the library. It didn't have like all the many like thousands of books, but it was the space and what it did for our learning and for our study time as well. So even with all the tech, I think we should still promote that culture of reading with our children. And
Okay.
sorry, that Silvia. There's a question in the Q&A, and I know some of our parents need to go soon. I know it's not related to tech, it's about VAT. So since we have Denstone on the call, if she wants to take that question, and then we can wrap up. Thank you.
Okay, so maybe she could just type the answer to that question, and then we can wrap up with this. So Denstone College, if you can just type the answer to that question for the parents.
I'm just looking at the questions. I can't find the.
So Dr. I'll ask you the last question.
Sorry, Julia.
Yes, it's in Q&A.
You know, Julia couldn't find it.
Oh,
so
here we go. Here we go.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Sorry, talking out loud.
Okay, so Dr. Alo, would you gladly increase your children's screen time for the sake of reading?
So do you mean that if they're going to read more by having more screen time?
Yes. Would you be glad to increase their screen time?
If I can avoid it, I will. I would rather encourage, if it's possible to have a hard copy of the book, or if it's a Kindle, then that's fine. But if it's a device that can easily have other things distracting them, I'm not really given to that just yet. I would still rather prefer the art of studying, the art of research, the art of learning through a distraction-free gadget which exists. So if it's to increase their time on a Kindle device, for example, oh yes, gladly, but not on a mobile phone that I know they can, or mommy may not be watching and they'll just quickly switch. And these children are they're very fast. They know how to go from playing a game to going to back to reading you that they know you want to see them doing. So yeah, that would be my response to that.
Okay, so I don't know if Denstone College is still available now. Yeah, so would you say that the library, is Sheldon still here?
Hello, I'm still here.
So would you say that the library Denstone College has built has helped to increase the children's interest in reading in any way?
The short answer would be yes. Sixth form study in there. Groups will go in there. We have a separate area where groups can go. Let's say you were doing business A level and there would be 4 of you that want to discuss something. We have 2 full-time librarians. We have a lower area. We have sofa areas. It's a busy place, which is a good thing. It's a safe place. If one of our younger children in year 7 who's just started, they don't want to go out at break or to the big common room. It's free for them to use every break and lunchtime. So again, in this world where everyone's minds are full and mental health is important, you can go and take a book or go and look at your homework or just go and sit. go and talk to the librarians. So I think the whole area is hopefully promoting a culture of reading, calm, somewhere to go, which hopefully answers your question.
Okay, so what strategy would you propose to a parent who wants to ignite that reading habits in the children?
That's a really good question. I think I am a parent, mine are older. Sometimes they read, sometimes they don't. I think they've been very lucky to have access to books. We still do have some public libraries, in the towns that they went to. Within school, they would have always, gone. I'm also quite a traditional parent. Some would say strict. I always read my children a bedtime story. Right up until they went to secondary school and they said, I don't want one anymore. Just that kind of, feeling of the book, having it. And sometimes, and we've obviously talking on this call as well about access to books, and that some people don't have access to books. When children are little, they want the same story every night. So you don't need 100 books. You can have 10 books or one book. So yeah, just sort of, constantly doing that. And my daughter has special educational needs, but she does read, and she reads books, not on her phone, which is good.
Great. Dr. Alo, so what strategy would you propose to a parent who wants to ignite reading in the children?
Honestly,
the reading culture.
Yes. So, with again, it depends on the age of the child, right? So with younger children, with all children, but particularly with younger children, it's really do as I do, more than it's even do as I say. So if you actually want to encourage your children to read, you need to model reading yourself. So one of the things we do at home is we have a dedicated time where there's no device and we're just together as a family, either having a quiet time, just studying or reading, but there's no device at that time. And I found that to be the most effective strategy. So when the children see that their dad and I are reading a book, they want to get a book as well and read. So just modeling that culture goes a really, really long way. Because when they see on your phone, they don't realize you're actually working for the most part, right? So we keep saying to them, Dad and Mom are actually working. I know it seems like we're on the phone, but we're working. So if we want to encourage them to read, then we still have to drop that device and read a book as well, and just create times and spaces that will encourage a reading culture in them.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Tosin, on a final note, are there programs you're organizing, or are there programs you have done to encourage, to sensitize parents on the need to encourage children to read? Because it is one thing to have the library, it's another thing to actually have children who are willing to engage, or people who are willing to engage. So do you have programs that helps to inform or sensitize people on the importance of reading?
Thank you so much for that question. Yes, we do have. We have an outreach, because one of the things we're doing at the grassroots level. So most of these will have to, they are not an average person you get to. A target audience, I know sometimes the average person you get to on social media. So we're having an outreach event where we have conversation with them. And also, interestingly for us, half of the job has been done, because one of the things we're trying to impute to what we are doing, we're already talking to partners, is a scholarship opportunity. So when most parents hear scholarship opportunities, they are always already interested in what we have to offer. So that is one of the ways we're trying to, because I was going to give a comment on what Dr. Alu said. Parents are actually one of the biggest stakeholders when it comes to encouraging their children to read, and modeling. We have found out that modeling is one of the best ways to do that. Because if you, that is how children learn to do almost everything they know how to do, by modeling, by social learning theory. They see it happen and then they recreate it too. So when they see that, okay, this my parents at a particular point in time also always drop device and have a no device time where they're just either on books or being present and things like that. They are encouraged to naturally do so. So when we reach out to some of these parents in rural areas, we tell them about the benefits of reading. And lucky for us, we have personal stories of people that are not so far, people that other children who, by the virtue of reading, have upped the circumstances surrounding their life. They're again a better place, which is also better for the family and all that. So we get them to share their own personal stories to encourage them to be able to also put their children forward. Because naturally, sorry that I'm taking long for the answer, children in these areas are naturally eager, which is intriguing because they didn't even see this model in the parents particularly, but there's just something about them that yearns for learning, that wants to know more. So it makes our job on this end easier, just talking to the parents, and we're good to go.
Amazing. Thank you so much. On this note, I'd love to say a very big thank you to all our panelists and all our parents for staying on this long. Unfortunately, we cannot take more than this for lack of time. But trust me, we'll be here again tomorrow. And it's good if you have learned anything today, if you have been able to engage today, trust me, it's going to be even better tomorrow. Tomorrow is another day. So remember to tell someone about the fair. Don't come alone. Tell someone about the fair, and let's all come and learn and enjoy the fair together. Abimbola, do you have anything to say?
Thank you so much, Mr. Silver. Thank you so much, our four panelists. You guys were not just here to furnish us with so much information, but we are grateful for your presence here. We don't take it for granted. We appreciate your time well spent. And for our parents and attendees, thank you for being on this call with us so far. I believe that you got so much value today. And if you're looking at, excuse me, sorry, if you're looking at getting in touch with any of the schools that have presented today or yesterday, there's a contact form. Our contact link has been sent to the chat box. You can reach out via Calendly to book a session or consultation for further inquiries, or you can visit our website, brainsandbutter.com. Brains and butter, simple as that, very catchy, or you can still make a call via our social media platforms. There are numbers you can reach out on to us on via those platforms, and we're looking forward to hear from you and to take this a step further beyond where we started. Thank you so much for being amazing today.
Amazing. I have learned so much today, and I've had so much fun being at the fair. Thank you to the schools that presented. Thank you to the parents. Thank you to the team. And it's been a wonderful time at the fair today. Tomorrow is another day. See you same time tomorrow, 11 a.m. UK time, 12 noon Nigerian time. So till we see you again tomorrow, it's bye from me.
Bye.